Hello and good evening. Well, India has had a great Super Sunday at the Olympics today. Not only has PV Sindhu become the only Indian woman to bag 2 Olympic medals, she got a bronze in badminton singles today. India has also entered the men's hockey semi-finals, and that too has happened after decades. The last time India won any medal, and it was a gold, was way back in 1980 in the Moscow Olympics. We'll be talking about this on Newsnight tonight and much else. I'm Gautam Roy. We'll also be talking about how today has been another landmark day for India in terms of how it's now taken over the presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the entire month of August. This represents a big deal, a great deal for India in terms of the kind of opportunity that it provides to give leadership to the entire global community on the front of security, particularly maritime security, on the front of peacekeeping as well as counter-terrorism. But first, as always, our headlines. The day turns out to be Super Sunday for India at the Olympics. PV Sindhu scripts history, becomes the first Indian woman sportsperson to bag 2 Olympic medals by beating China's He Bingjiao in the women's singles badminton clash for the bronze. President, Prime Minister and others send out a flurry of congratulatory messages. The men's hockey team gives the nation another reason to cheer. Reaches the semi-finals of the contest after beating Great Britain 3-1 in the quarter-finals. India had last won gold medal in hockey in the 1980 Moscow Olympics. Union Home Minister Amit Shah seeks the blessings of the voters of Uttar Pradesh for the 2022 Assembly elections while unveiling several developmental gifts for the state during his visit. Performs puja at Varanasi's Kashi Vishwanath temple, lays foundation stone for the Vindhyasini corridor project in Mirzapur. Also inquires about former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Kalyan Singh's health in Lucknow. Setback for the Congress in Manipur. Its state party chief Govind Das lets go of the hand to grasp the BJP's lotus. The state's chief minister N. Biren Singh says the switching over of Govind Das is an indicator of the faith the people have in the BJP. Good news on the economy front. GST collection for the month of July reaches 1,16,393 crore rupees, 33% increase over the same month a year ago. July also witnesses record digital transactions, crosses the 6 lakh crore rupees mark through UPI. India assumes the presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the month of August, lists out maritime security, peacekeeping and counter-terrorism as priority areas. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar says India looks forward to working productively with other members. It will always be a voice of moderation and advocate of dialogue. And several countries tightened restrictions and other measures over COVID spike related to the spread of the virulent Delta variant. China tightens restrictions after its presence is found in at least 18 provinces. Israel begins third booster shot administration for those above 60 years. Cambodia starts vaccinating 12 to 17-year-olds and also switches first and second shots between AstraZeneca and a Chinese vaccine. Well, first up, ace badminton player PV Sindhu clinched the bronze medal for India after defeating China's He Bingjiao 21-13, 21-15 in the third place playoff. And with this, Sindhu has become the first Indian woman to win 2 individual medals at the Olympics. Wrestler Sushil Kumar was the first and the only other Indian to win 2 Olympic medals, following up his bronze at 2008 Beijing with a silver at the London edition.
PV Sindhu created history on Sunday by winning the bronze medal match against China's He Bingjiao at the Tokyo Olympics. Sindhu, who has returned with medals from each of the big-ticket events such as Commonwealth, Asian Games and the BWF World Tour Finals in the last 5 years, outwitted 8th seed Bin Jiao 21-13, 21-15 to add a bronze to the silver she had secured at the 2016 Rio Games. Up against an opponent who had beaten her 9 times so far in the last 15 meetings, Sindhu showed great determination to outplay Bin Jiao with her aggression to scoop India's third medal at the Tokyo. Sindhu showed great fortitude as she recovered from her painful semi-final loss to world number 1 Tai Tzu Ying and produced an aggressive show against her Chinese opponent. President Ramnath Kovind has congratulated PV Sindhu for winning bronze medal and bringing glory to India. In a tweet, President Ramnath Kovind said, PV Sindhu becomes the first Indian woman to win medals in 2 Olympic Games. She has set a new yardstick of consistency, dedication and excellence. My heartiest congratulations to her for bringing glory to India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also congratulated PV Sindhu on winning bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics. In a tweet, PM Modi said, "We are all elated by the stellar performance by PV Sindhu. Congratulations to her on winning bronze medal at the Tokyo 2020. She is India's pride and one of our most outstanding Olympians." Union Home Minister Amit Shah tweeted, "Well played Sindhu. Time and again you have proved your unparalleled commitment and devotion towards the game. May you continue to bring glory to the nation. We are proud for your remarkable accomplishment." PV Sindhu's father PV Ramanna said he is impressed with the way her daughter kept on attacking in the bronze medal match.
मुझे ही नहीं सब दुनिया को बहुत खुशी की बात। नो डाउट हमें थोड़ा नाराज़ होना पड़ा कि हम गोल्ड मेडल एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे। हर आदमी यही सोचता है, बोलने में बहुत आसान है गोल्ड मेडल लाना, मतलब पहुंचना और सेमीफाइनल में ठीक है हार गई लेकिन ब्रॉन्ज भी लाई है। तो जब भी सिंधु गई देश के लिए लाई है, तो मैं इस तरह मानता हूँ, पहले गई तो लाई है, अभी गई तो लाई है देश के लिए मेडल, तो मैं बहुत खुशी हूँ।
Sindhu won the medal today. She played very well. Extremely happy because we missed the goal, but this is also equivalent. Medal is medal.
Sindhu is also the reigning world champion after winning the 2019 World Championship title, as the 2020 edition was cancelled due to COVID-19 pandemic. She was the first Indian to achieve that feat too. She also has 4 more medals from prestigious World Championships, 2 silver and 2 bronze. The Rio Olympics success made her first female athlete from India to win an Olympic silver medal. Sports Desk, DD India.
And to make the day even more sweet, India beat Great Britain 3-1 to reach the men's hockey semi-finals, where they will face 2018 world champions Belgium. India have entered the semis of the Olympics men's hockey after 49 years. Well, he did get that gold in 1980 in Moscow, but at that time there was no semi-final.
India made the most of the defensive errors early on in the match. The first goal came in the first quarter as Simranjit Singh stole the ball and passed it to Dilpreet, who was standing alone inside the circle. The youngster made no mistake and gave India the lead. The second one came at the start of the second quarter as Gurjant Singh twisted, turned and struck it onto the nets to double India's lead. Sam Ward brought nervy 15 minutes for India in the match as he scored a goal from a penalty corner to end the third quarter. Hardik Singh produced a moment of brilliance as he scored in the final quarter to extend India's lead. The last time India featured in the semi-finals of the Olympics was in 1972 Munich Games, where they lost 0-2 to arch rivals Pakistan. India will take on world champions Belgium in the semi-finals on Tuesday. Belgium defeated Spain 3-1 in another quarter-final to seal their place in the last 4 rounds. The other semi-final of the men's hockey competition will be played between Australia and Germany. Sports Desk, DD India.
And And our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya spoke to Union Sports Minister Anurag Thakur on PV Sindhu winning the bronze medal at the ongoing Tokyo Olympics. Listen in.
Joining me is Union Sports Minister Anurag Thakur to talk about the amazing performance by PV Sindhu. Sir, what is your first reaction when you saw PV Sindhu winning that match?
Smashing victory. I think she has done very well. And a big congratulations to PV Sindhu. She has made India proud, not once but twice over. She has done well in 2016. She has done well now. And the way the girls have performed, it shows nobody can stop them. They are unstoppable. First Mirabai Chanu, Lovelina, now PV Sindhu. So I think they have done extremely well. My heartfelt congratulations to her.
Sir, it once again showcases the way Indian women have come of age, especially in the 2016 games as well as in the 2021 Tokyo games. What do you have to say about that?
I think you take any sector, the girls have done very well, and especially after the slogan given by Prime Minister Modi and the way he has worked in the area of for the girl child, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, और बेटी खिलाओ भी अब क्योंकि बेटियों ने the girls did it, you know, in every sector, every field. They performed so well and they have, you know, not looked back. They have been outstanding so far, and I'm sure many more will get inspired from these young athletes who have done extremely well. My heartfelt congratulations to them.
Appreciate your time. So that was Union Sports Minister Anurag Thakur saying that these athletes will inspire generations to come. With Campus and Sanjay Jana, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for Doordarshan, Delhi.
Well, India has assumed the presidency of the United Nations Security Council on Sunday for the month of August. During its presidency, India would focus on three major themes of maritime security, peacekeeping and counter-terrorism, and will hold signature events to highlight these issues as well. This is the 10th time India will be assuming the presidency of the Security Council, the last time being in November 2012.
India has just assumed the presidency of the United Nations Security Council on the 1st of August. It is a singular honor for us to be presiding over the Security Council in the same month when we are celebrating our 75th Independence Day.
1st August 2021. India takes over the prestigious office of the President of the United Nations Security Council. Listing out the priorities of India during the month-long presidency, India's envoy to the United Nations, T.S. Tirumurti, said maritime security, peacekeeping and counter-terrorism would be the key themes India would be focusing on during its presidency.
India will be organizing signature events in three major areas: maritime security, peacekeeping and counter-terrorism. Maritime security has a high priority for us, and it is important for the Security Council to take a holistic approach to this issue. Peacekeeping is a topic close to our hearts, given our own long and pioneering involvement with peacekeeping. We will be focusing on how to ensure the safety of peacekeepers, especially by using better technology, and how to bring perpetrators of crimes against peacekeepers to justice. We will continue to keep the spotlight on counter-terrorism. I would like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and our External Affairs Minister for continuing to guide our permanent mission, especially during our stint in the Security Council.
In a video message, Tirumurti said that the Security Council will have several meetings on its agenda, including Syria, Lebanon, Middle East, Iraq and Somalia.
The Security Council will also have on its agenda several important meetings, including Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, and the Middle East. The Security Council will also be adopting important resolutions on Somalia, Mali, and the UN Interim Force in Lebanon. India will also be organizing a solemn event in the memory of peacekeepers.
The presidency of the Security Council is held by rotation by the 15 members of the UNSC. India has been president of the body in June 1950, September 1967, December 1972, October 1977, February 1985, October 1991, December 1992, August 2011 and November 2012. As the president of the top UN body for August, India will decide the agenda for the month, coordinate important meetings and other related issues. India is a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council since January this year for a period of 2 years. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, it's a big day for India as it has got the major global responsibility when the world is at a crucial juncture, and that is something that the world has also noticed. And we also had External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar saying that India is looking forward to fulfilling this responsibility.
India taking over the presidency of the United Nations Security Council. Congratulatory messages began pouring in. Expressing happiness over India taking over the Security Council presidency, the French ambassador in New Delhi, Emmanuel Linnes, said his country should work with India in tackling several issues faced by the world today. Russian ambassador to India, Nikolai Kudashev, in a tweet, wished all success and congratulated India on taking over the presidency. He said that the agenda is impressive and embraces pressing global issues including maritime security, peacekeeping and counter-terrorism. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar in a tweet said that as India takes over UNSC presidency for August, the country looks forward to working productively with other members. He further added that India will always be a voice of moderation, an advocate of dialogue and a proponent of international law. Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting and Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Anurag Thakur also tweeted that India's presidency of the United Nations Security Council begins in August in the Independence Day month, at a time when the country is set to mark the 75th Independence Day. India's commitment to promote responsible and inclusive solutions to international peace and security and its major agendas for presidency has been well received and clearly states the aim of effective responses and greater cooperation at UNSC. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now it's time to bring up our In Focus tonight, the first one of the evening. India takes over UNSC presidency. And to talk about it, we have joining us Dilip Sinha, former senior diplomat, as well as Professor Swaran Singh, strategic and foreign affairs expert. First to you, Dilip Kumar, what do you make of how India has come at this juncture, to this important responsibility of assuming the presidency of the UN Security Council? India has its priorities, it set out its agenda, but how will that be navigated under the current circumstances?
Well, it's a great opportunity for India to display its influence, its diplomatic skills on this world stage, especially for our diplomats, for our ambassador in the United Nations, to ensure that he works in close coordination with the UN Secretary General on the various activities of the Security Council all across the world, many of which are extremely important for India as well, and for global peace. It also gives him an opportunity to work with the other members of the Security Council, in particular the permanent members, in case on all these various tricky and very difficult issues that are coming up this month, like Somalia, he mentioned, Mali, Lebanon. These are all areas on which it's important for the Security Council to take effective action, to continue its operations. And in all this, the role that our PR, the permanent representative, will play in New York will be very important.
Right. Professor Swaran Singh, in terms of how India has listed out its priorities, its maritime security, peacekeeping, and a brief mention was made by Dilip there about what kind of concerns are there in that department as well. And of course, there's counter-terrorism. So, how do you think India can really pursue these goals? Because in terms of maritime security, it said that the world needs to take a wholesome view of this entire issue.
First of all, UN Security Council is the most influential and powerful organization that we have around the world now. And to get the presidency for a month of that institution brings enormous visibility and, of course, expectations. And it brings also a kind of chance for that country to showcase what it can contribute. And in that sense, you see, the president for that month becomes both the representative of UN Security Council in other organizations, other places, as also spokesperson. So in that sense, other than the routine items which are already listed, President can prioritize which areas that particular country or representative of that country wishes to highlight and bring forward. And maritime security, as you mentioned, is clearly up on the agenda of India for several years, definitely, if not decades. The whole focus on Sagarmala, Sagar, Indo-Pacific, etc., means that India is ocean-going and very oceanic country in that sense. So terrorism would be another issue. So what is interesting here is, other than initial stages of United Nations Security Council till 1960s, when the world was divided among blocks, President hardly had any role because those blocks will decide what is going to be discussed and decided. And vetoes were very often used. Since then, President has a very critical role in building consensus, bringing unanimity, and in doing that, President can hold the subgroups meetings within the Security Council, informal meetings within the Security Council, and therefore bring in certain kind of perspective that President wants to bring in as to what to prioritize and how to tackle those issues. And given India's credential, my last point will be the fact that India was brought in as a non-permanent member by 184 out of 193 General Assembly votes.
Right.
That showcases the expectation that world has today from India, and the fact that Indian Prime Minister has decided to chair one of those meetings on 9th of August is showcasing the enthusiasm and engagement India wants to showcase, is also how world looks at India with a certain expectation. So in that sense, I think it's an opportunity to expand India's goodwill and also a footprint on international diplomacy.
Okay. We'll hold that 9th of August thing that you talked about the Prime Minister holding session, because we don't have any official word on it yet, but it's being talked about a lot. There's a huge buzz around it. But when India talks about holding signature events, what exactly do we mean by that, Dilip Sinha?
Well, the first event of this nature was an offline event in those days. This was in 1992 in January, when Great United Kingdom was the president of the Security Council, and Prime Minister John Major decided to hold the first Security Council summit meeting, at which Prime Minister Narasimha Rao had gone. And there were, I think, 13 heads of states and government who participated in this meeting. This meeting was extremely important for 2 or 3 reasons. One was because it heralded the switchover from the Soviet Union to the Russian President Yeltsin was welcomed. Okay. So the seat switched from the Soviet Union to Russia. And the other was that it authorized the then Secretary General Boutros Ghali to prepare a report on how to strengthen the Security Council. And he prepared a report 6 months later called the Agenda for Peace, which was in a way a revolutionary change in the Security Council's role in peacekeeping, which lasted almost 20 years, in which a number of military actions were authorized. So it was a trend-setting meeting that was held at that time. Now, we'll see what happens on the 6th of August, how this takes shape. Of course, these are difficult times because you cannot have a physical meeting in New York because of this COVID pandemic. But any high-level participation will go a long way in strengthening and ensuring that the Security Council becomes a little more effective in the various areas of tension and threats to international peace and security which are taking place all across the world today.
And Professor Swarn Singh, there's a lot of speculation on what else could make the month of August eventful from the perspective of security. One, of course, is Afghanistan. We have a situation that is coming to some kind of an inflection point in Myanmar as well. And then, of course, getting to the bottom of this entire COVID-19 outbreak.
See, other than COVID-19, India also already, as a non-permanent member, chairs 3 meetings. 2 on sanctions on Syria and Taliban, and 1 on counter-terrorism. And India from 1994 onwards has been working gradually, and we have had some progress on building a comprehensive international counter-terrorism convention. So some of these issues will definitely come forward in building that larger consensus at international level. I'm also reminded that in case the reports that we see, as you said, it's not confirmed that Indian Prime Minister could chair Security Council meeting on 9th of August. 9th of August is very significant because of the bombing on Japan, Nagasaki, on 9th, and 6th August was Hiroshima. And I would remember President Obama was other president who had once presided over the UN Security Summit meeting to focus on nuclear disarmament. So maybe that if the date is the 9th of August, then that could also be up in the psyche of most people participating. India again has had enormous credentials in pushing for nuclear disarmament and arms control. So that could also be an issue, but I understand there are several issues which are already listed, and some of them will emerge as the consensus builds up from today to the 9th in case Indian Prime Minister is going to chair and then preside over that meeting. But in any case, Indian Foreign Minister also is expected to pay a visit during month of August. That again gives an opportunity. So it's a very different perspective that a country gets when you are presiding over UN Security Council functioning. And it's not natural that you could get, it's very rare that a country in 2 years term as a non-permanent member can get to do it twice. So as you mentioned in your opening of this discussion, in 8 terms that India has had, we have been presiding over UN Security Council 12 times.
Right.
So the fact that we are entering today in 7th month of our membership UN Security Council, we are not so sure, depending on the alphabetic order of countries that are sitting today on UN Security Council. So in that sense, it's a unique opportunity for a particular country to both understand the holistic mindset of those who are sitting on that big table, and also share their own priorities and showcase what it can bring to the table in terms of pushing certain agenda fast forward, and also carrying forward what is already listed as a schedule and an agenda of the Security Council for the month of August.
Okay. Now, also it seemed, Dilip Sinha, that there was at one time some thought process working on bringing in technology also as one of those issues that India wants to pursue, but it seems that one can only do so much in a month. But that is again another area which has a lot of global concerns, particularly with the kind of digitization that has been seen in the COVID era and the kind of challenges that it also poses, especially on the cyber security front. Similarly, the use of space.
Well, yes, space security, the security of various communication installations that are present today in the world in space, that is extremely important. Cyber security has become extremely important, especially with these cyber attacks that have taken place recently. So in these areas where technology plays a key role, the Security Council has to activate itself and put in place institutions and rules and regulations so that security in this area can be strengthened. In addition to this, of course, there are these 2 areas that you mentioned next to India. One is Afghanistan and one is Myanmar, where there is civil strife taking place. And it's extremely important that we get the Security Council activated on these, because both these impact not only the lives of civilians in these 2 countries, but also global peace. So it's important that we get the Security Council active in these areas for the Security Council to fulfill its role as the guarantor of international peace and security.
Okay, so we have a lot to look forward to in the month of August, and let's see how things progress, particularly in the 9th. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening. Okay, now let's talk about COVID-19, and that situation is coming under control in India. But the southern state of Kerala has become cause for concern, as it has been reporting over 20,000 cases every day for the last 15 days. Well, the total number of recovered patients of COVID-19 now stand at 3,820,521. In the last 24 hours, 39,258 patients recovered. The recovery rate has now gone up to 97.36%. India has reported 41,831 daily new cases in the last 24 hours as well. India's active case load is currently standing at 4,10,952, which is 1.3% of the total positive cases. The weekly positivity rate remains below 5% at 2.42%. The daily positivity rate also remains below 5% at 2.34%. With substantially ramped up testing capacity across the country, over 46 crore 82 lakh tests have been conducted so far. But COVID cases driven by the more infective Delta variant are spiking in almost all parts of the world. Countries like Cambodia, which had largely been spared by the virus last year, too are now feeling the pinch. Stricter containment measures are being imposed by authorities in response to the surge. Even vaccination strategies are being tweaked, with booster shots and mixing of doses being thrown in the mix to see what works best against the wily Delta variant. A fresh wave of COVID infections, fueled by the spread of the more virulent Delta variant, is sweeping across the world. Several countries in the Americas, Europe and Asia are seeing fresh spikes of daily new cases. The situation across many countries is tenuous. Olympics host Japan is seeing daily protests with people demanding cancellation of the games, which are being blamed for a spike in cases. Saturday saw daily new cases going beyond the 4,000 mark in Tokyo for the first time.
I don't know if it has anything to do with the Olympics or not, but as a person who is working, I feel scared.
Anti-government protests rocked Thailand on Sunday, with participants in different vehicles forming a long line stretching over 20 kilometers through Bangkok, honking horns and raising the three-finger salute from the Hunger Games films. The protest was to show discontent against Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha's handling of the coronavirus crisis. Thailand has been grappling with its biggest coronavirus outbreak so far. It reported 18,027 new cases on a single day and 133 new deaths. The country on Sunday extended tighter containment measures in Bangkok and high-risk provinces until the end of August to slow down the spread. In neighboring Cambodia, Sunday saw vaccination being started for 12 to 17-year-olds, while their Prime Minister said the country will also begin offering booster shots, switching between AstraZeneca and Chinese vaccines in an effort to stop the spread of the virus. Cambodia has launched a lockdown in 8 provinces bordering Thailand this week in a bid to prevent the spread of the Delta variant of the coronavirus in the Southeast Asian country. Cambodia managed to largely contain the virus for most of last year, but an outbreak first detected in late February has driven up total cases to 77,919 with 1,420 deaths. China on Sunday reported 75 new cases of COVID-19 on the mainland for the 31st of July, up from 55 cases a day earlier, including new locally transmitted cases in 8 provinces. News footage on Chinese state broadcaster CCTV showed a residential compound being placed under lockdown in Xiamen, located in China's Fujian province. China's total number of current infections stands at 1,022 cases, with no new deaths reported. The country has reported a total of 93,005 infections since the outbreak began. In Europe, while Germany is seeing a fourth wave driven by the Delta variant, France and UK are at loggerheads over England's decision to keep quarantine measures in place for travellers coming from France till the end of next week and not for those coming from other European Union countries and the US because of the Beta variant.
Yes, it's excessive and it's frankly incomprehensible on health grounds. We have been at times in difficult health situations in France. We understood, even though we were sorry that some of our neighbors implemented strict measures regarding travel from France. This time, frankly, the British authorities have lifted the mandatory quarantine for every European country, but not for France, because the Beta variant, if I understood correctly, the South African variant, which represents less than 5% of cases in France.
It's evident that the Delta variant is proving to be a challenge for health authorities and different government bodies worldwide. The World Health Organization has advised urgent and stricter measures to curb its spread. Vaccination strategies are also being tweaked in different countries to see which works best. But masking up and following other COVID protocols still remains the best defense. Bureau Report, DD India. And that brings up our second in focus for the evening. World faces Delta challenge. And to talk about it, we have Dr. Rakesh Agarwal with us, Director JIPMER and member WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization. Good evening to you, Dr. Agarwal. What do you make of the situation with the Delta variant spreading to most parts of the world? It's already there in 132 countries according to the WHO. But it is spreading fast and affecting a far more number of people now than ever before.
So I think we have known this for several weeks and actually months now, that this is a variant that spreads much faster. Transmission is much more effective for this. We saw that this happened in India during the second wave of COVID that we had in March to June. And that's why our wave was a really large wave, and we saw large amount of disease around the country. It has now got transmitted to most parts of the world, and they are now seeing the effect of this variant, and this is also transmitting very fast in those areas. So I don't think this is something totally new. For those countries, it may be new, but overall at the global level, we have seen this for a substantial amount of time now. The characteristics don't change once it goes from one part of the world to the other. And in areas where the disease rate had come down because of this coming in, the transmission has again increased and there is a large number of cases occurring. So that's completely understandable.
But the world is not really equipped right now to handle this particular variant, because the only thing that can mitigate its impact is being fully vaccinated, and the percentage of fully vaccinated people in the world, particularly in most countries really, is very, very small. Even in India, it's barely 7 to 8%.
So I think it will be incorrect to say that there is no other method available to prevent this other than vaccination.
There's of course masking up and social distancing.
Exactly. So I think those are very effective methods, and that is what is being promoted around the world. So countries which had removed the mask mandate have reintroduced masks. They have reintroduced restrictions on people gathering, and that is what would prevent this. Those measures will work irrespective of any kind of variant. Their efficacy may be different, but they will work, and that is what is being recommended. Same way, when we say 1 dose or 2 doses and whether vaccines work against variants, we have had a lot of discussion in the media in our country as if 1 dose does not prevent the infection with these variants. Please understand, experts in the field are coming around to the view, rather they believe strongly, that the disease may occur with variants after 1 dose, but that disease is very mild. We are not using vaccines to prevent infection or to prevent mild disease. We are using those to prevent serious disease, which needs hospital admissions, which needs oxygen, which needs ICU admissions, and which kills. And that kind of disease is, due to variants, including the Delta variant, is being prevented by even 1 dose.
And how often, Dr. Agarwal, is this question asked of you, that is there work on to figure out if we can come up with a variant-specific vaccine as well?
See, whether we need that kind of a vaccine is still a question. The vaccines that are already available, including the ones that we have in our country, are protecting against severe disease. If you look at the curve for United Kingdom, for instance, the number of cases has gone up markedly. They are having some 40 to 50,000 cases a day.
Yes.
However, they are not seeing a difficulty in finding beds. They are not finding a difficulty in finding an ICU bed. They are not finding increase in deaths. So the serious disease, which is what we are bothered about, is being prevented by the vaccination that has already gone in. And those vaccines have been the AstraZeneca vaccine, those have been the Pfizer vaccine, and these vaccines are working beautifully to prevent serious disease and mortality. Idea mainly is to get as many people vaccinated as possible, and in particular, and we need to do that in our country too, to vaccinate those who are at a higher risk of serious disease, which means people above the age of 60 years, people above the age of 50 years and comorbidities. Even today in our country, first dose has been received by about half of people above the age of 60. I think we need to preferentially bring those people to vaccination. We need to reach out to them. Instead of younger people, they are the groups that should be prioritized, and that's what we need to work on if we have to prevent COVID from becoming a problem again. And that's what the rest of the world is doing.
Right. I'm sure measures are being taken and being thought of as well to ensure that everybody gets vaccinated as quickly as possible. The pace has picked up through the month of July, and I'm sure it will pick up even further. In the meantime, of course, people have to remember that they need to keep safe, they need to mask up, wash their hands, keep their distance from other people, follow all COVID protocols, and no matter which variant, it won't be able to get to them at all. Thanks a lot for joining us, Dr. Agarwal, this evening. Moving on further, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be launching eRupee, a person and purpose specific digital payment solution, on Monday through video conferencing. eRupee is a cashless and contactless instrument for digital payment. It is a QR code or SMS string based e-voucher which is delivered to the mobile of beneficiaries. The users of this seamless one-time payment mechanism will be able to redeem the voucher without a card, digital payments app or internet banking access at the service provider. It's been developed by the National Payments Corporation of India or on its UPI platform in collaboration with the Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and National Health Authority. It's expected to be a revolutionary initiative in the direction of ensuring a leak-proof delivery of welfare services. Union Home Minister Amit Shah was on a day-long visit to Uttar Pradesh on Sunday, where he launched several development programs. He also offered prayers to Goddess Vindhyavasini ahead of the upcoming Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections in 2022. He also lauded Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath for the robust development in the state.
Home Minister Amit Shah, who was on a day-long visit to Uttar Pradesh on Sunday, laid the foundation stone of 128 crore rupees Vidyanchal Corridor project in Mirzapur to strengthen the accessibility and other passenger facilities in Vidyanchal. He also dedicated a 15 crore rupees ropeway and other developmental projects. Home Minister also offered prayers to Goddess Vindhyavasini ahead of upcoming UP 2022 Assembly elections. Home Minister lauded Chief Minister for robust development in the state.
आपने भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 2014 में आशीर्वाद दिया, 2017 में दिया, 2019 में दिया। मैं बरोबर यही था, सब अटकलें लगाते थे। कांग्रेस और सपा इकट्ठा हो गए, सपा बसपा और कांग्रेस सब इकट्ठा हो गए, मगर आप नहीं डिगे। आपका आशीर्वाद बढ़ता ही गया, बढ़ता ही गया, बढ़ता ही गया।
Home Minister hailed Uttar Pradesh for being at the forefront in implementation of several developmental schemes. He also said that the BJP always stood by its promise of ensuring a robust law and order situation and making Uttar Pradesh a developed state. He also slammed the previous government for not working during the time of crisis.
4 साल के अंदर योगी जी ने कानून और व्यवस्था के क्षेत्र में ढेर सारे परिवर्तन किए। अखिलेश भाई, आप और बुआ जी दोनों 15 साल का हिसाब लेकर आ जाओ। 15 साल में आधा भी किया है तो यूपी की जनता आपको माफ कर देगी, जितना योगी जी ने 4 साल के अंदर किया।
The Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said that the state was on a progressive trajectory in maintaining law and order. He slammed the previous government for not working for progress of the people.
जब भी नेतृत्व यशस्वी होता है, निस्वार्थ भाव के साथ कार्य करता है, तो देश के बारे में सोचता है। 136 करोड़ लोग उसके परिवार के हिस्से होते हैं, लेकिन जब नेतृत्व स्वार्थी होता है, भ्रष्ट होता है, बेईमान होता है, वह केवल अपने बारे में सोचता है, अपने परिवार के बारे में सोचता है। और आजादी के बाद से लेकर के विभिन्न सरकारों में, केंद्र में हो या राज्य में, यही तो होता रहा है।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah also visited the ailing former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Kalyan Singh at Lucknow's Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences. He said that the Kalyan Singh had a great contribution for the development in the state. He also prayed for his well-being. With Bureau Report, DD India.
2 years ago, the Union government enacted a landmark law against triple talaq in the country. The day is being marked as Muslim Women Rights Day today. Addressing an event to mark the occasion in the national capital, Union Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that the government's step has proved to be revolutionary.
Muslim Women Rights Day is being observed across the country to celebrate the enactment of the law against triple talaq. On the completion of 2 years of the law, a program was organized in the national capital on Sunday. While addressing on the occasion, Minister for Minority Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that the government enacted the revolutionary law against triple talaq, which has made the social malpractice of triple talaq a criminal offence.
3 तलाक का बिल 1 अगस्त 2019 में बना है, उसके बाद से जो 3 तलाक की जो घटनाएं हैं उसमें जो कमी आई, लगभग 80% कमी 3 तलाक की घटनाओं में देश भर में आई है.
Government has strengthened self-reliance, self-respect and self-confidence of Muslim women of the country and protected their constitutional, fundamental and democratic rights by bringing the law against triple talaq.
हमारी सरकार नया लेबर कोड लेकर के आई है और पहली बार हमने हिंदुस्तान में कानून के माध्यम से और बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से निर्धारित कर दिया है कि अब स्त्री और पुरुष समान काम के लिए समान वेतन ही लेंगे. ये देश के कानून में.
Union Minister for Women and Child Development Smriti Irani saluted the struggle of Muslim women who fought for the law. She said that no other woman should suffer in the name of triple talaq in the future.
अनगिनत बहनें हैं अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय में. सिर्फ मुसलमान बहनें नहीं, पारसी बहनें हैं, जैन बहनें हैं, जिनकी दास्तान कभी लिखी नहीं गई हिंदुस्तान में. क्या हम कोशिश करके उन कहानियों को, उन दास्तानों को नकवी साहब तक पहुंचाएं ताकि उसमें नकवी साहब अपना समर्थन देकर इन बहनों को, जिन्हें इतिहास शायद भूल गया, उन्हें हम ना भूलें और उनके नामों को और उजागर.
Different organizations across the country observed 1st August as Muslim Women Rights Day. There's a significant decline in triple talaq cases after the law came into effect.
2005 में मेरे साथ परिस्थिति इतनी ख़राब होती गई कि उन्होंने 3 शब्दों में मेरी लाइफ बिल्कुल ब्लॉक कर दी. मतलब मैं उन 3 शब्दों के आगे बोल नहीं पाई जो उन्होंने तलाक के बोले मुझे, या तो जॉब कर लो और या फिर घर से मेरे से निकल जाओ, तलाक ले लो.
Muslim women across the country have overwhelmingly welcomed this law and pledged to continue the long fight for their rights. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, in signs of acceleration in economic activity, India's tax collections on goods sold and services rendered returned to over 1 lakh crore rupees in July after the second wave of COVID-related restrictions caused a blip the previous month. The gross GST collected in July was 1,16,393 crore rupees, of which CGST was 22,197 crore rupees, SGST 28,541 crore rupees and IGST 57,864 crore rupees. The revenue for the month of July 2021 is 33% higher than the GST revenue in the same month last year. GST collections, after posting above 1 lakh crore rupees mark for 8 months in a row, dropped below 1 lakh crores last month. This included 27,900 crore rupees collected on import of goods and cess at 7,790 crore rupees. The above figures include GST collection received from GSTR 3B returns filed between the 1st of July to the 31st of July, as well as IGST and cess collected from imports for the same period. Now, news from the neighbourhood. Just ahead of the meeting of ASEAN foreign ministers to appoint a Myanmar envoy, the neighbouring country's military leadership has announced that it will hold elections and revoke the national emergency imposed in the country 6 months ago by August 2023. Here's a report.
Nearly 6 months after the Myanmar military snatched power from the country's civilian government, the chief of the armed forces said on Sunday that the new elections will be held in the country and the prevailing state of emergency would be revoked by August 2023.
We must create conditions to hold a free and fair multi-party general elections. We have to make preparations. I pledge to hold the multi-party general elections without fail.
Myanmar's military ruler Min Aung Hlaing promised new multi-party elections and said that his government is ready to work with any special envoy named by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. He spoke in a televised address 6 months after the army seized power from a civilian government after disputed elections won by Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi's ruling party, which he called extremist and accused of inciting violence.
I would like to say that Myanmar is ready to work on ASEAN cooperation with the ASEAN framework, including the dialogue with the ASEAN Special Envoy in Myanmar.
The country has been in turmoil since the army ousted the civilian leader in February 2021, launching a bloody crackdown on dissent that has killed many. Tens of thousands of civil servants and other workers have either been sacked for joining rallies or are still on strike in support of a nationwide civil disobedience campaign. ASEAN foreign ministers are meeting on Monday when diplomats say they aim to finalize a special envoy tasked with ending violence and promoting dialogue between the junta and its opponents. Bureau Report, DD India.
A Taliban fighter struck Kandahar airport in southern Afghanistan with at least 3 rockets overnight. The insurgent group's spokesperson said that the aim was to thwart airstrikes conducted by Afghan government forces. Afghanistan Air Force has stepped up airstrikes on Taliban hideouts. More in this report.
Fighting is raging around 3 major cities in southern and western Afghanistan as Taliban militants seek to seize them from the government forces. Taliban fighters have entered parts of Herat, Lashkar Gah and Kandahar. Taliban fighters struck Kandahar airport in southern Afghanistan with at least 3 rockets overnight. The insurgent group spokesperson said that the aim was to thwart airstrikes conducted by Afghan government forces. The Afghanistan government official said that rockets attacked forced authorities to suspend all flights and that the runway was partially damaged. Meanwhile, a hideout used by Taliban insurgent is seen being destroyed in an airstrike by defense forces in a video released by the Afghanistan government on Twitter. Tens of terrorists were killed and wounded in the attack in Zarai district of Kandahar province. The Afghanistan government officials said at least 250 such insurgents have been killed, while nearly 100 were wounded in battles at several major cities over the past 24 hours. Taliban has made rapid gains in the rural area since it was announced almost all foreign troops would go by September. However, the fate of these key cities could be crucial amid fears of a humanitarian crisis and how long government forces will be able to hold out. The militia is already thought to have captured up to half of Afghanistan's territory, including lucrative border crossings with Iran and Pakistan. Meanwhile, the first group of Afghans who've worked for the US government and have been evacuated from Afghanistan arrived in the United States on Friday. Some 200 Afghans arrived in the Dulles International Airport and were bused to the Fort Lee in Virginia for medical screenings. The operation to evacuate US-affiliated Afghans and family members comes as the US troop pullout nears completion and government forces struggle to repulse Taliban advances. The Afghans are being granted special immigrant visas entitling them to bring their families. As many as 50,000 or more people ultimately could be evacuated in Operation Allies Refuge. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, extreme weather events have hit several parts of the world in the last few weeks. Raging heat waves, wildfires have affected the lives of thousands. Europe and Asia have been ravaged by floods. US, Greece, Canada and Turkey by wildfires. Take a look.
Extreme weather conditions are being witnessed around the globe. Raging heat waves, wildfires have affected the lives of thousands for several weeks. California's largest blaze, the Dixie Fire, has now burned nearly 250,000 acres as firefighters race to keep the flames from reaching northeast to the town of Paradise. Firefighters have had success holding the flames back from Paradise as the town struggles to recover from the 2018 destruction. Now in its 3rd week, Dixie Fire has burnt 244,388 acres as an area north of Sacramento and killed over 85 people. In Canada, an unprecedented blanket of smoke continues to hang after days of wildfire. The death toll from the unprecedented forest fires in Turkey rose to 6. Forest fires that erupted in the southwestern Turkish resort town of Marmaris and Bodrum have affected the entire Mediterranean coast of Turkey. Scorching heat and strong winds have fanned the fires in different regions as over 4,000 firefighters battled the blazes. Tourists along with hotel staff were evacuated as wildfires spread in Bodrum. In Greece, firefighters continue to battle the blaze on the hills of the western region. Nearly 300 firefighters fought through the night to contain the fire, which damaged a number of homes and beach settlements. Several villages and beaches were evacuated when the fire crossed over the highway connecting Athens to Patras. High risk of wildfires because of heat wave is expected to peak next week, with temperatures expected to soar to 45 degrees Celsius. Central China's Henan province is ramping up disaster relief and reconstruction efforts to restore production and life after record torrential rains ravaged the region. In the provincial capital, Zhengzhou, 12 stations and 26 sections along the route of the city's subway line 1 were affected by the heavy rains. Heavy monsoon rains triggered landslides and flash floods in refugee camps, displaced thousands of Rohingyas in southeastern Bangladesh. More than 13,000 were forced to relocate in the camps, while thousands of facilities were damaged, including health clinics and toilets. Access has been hindered due to damage to roads, pathways and bridges. While in a rare event, a spell of intense snowfall struck southern Brazil for the first time in decades. Temperatures in Rio dropped to an unusual low of 9 degrees Celsius since Thursday as a polar air mass advanced towards the central and southern parts. Unusually cold weather has already sent international prices of coffee and sugar higher. Climate change is not just a threat to the future, but has become a menace in present times. Extreme climate change in recent times calls for a united effort to tackle the unacceptable high risks to the global world. Bureau Report, DD India.
And over in the United States, a pandemic-related government ban on residential evictions expired at midnight on Saturday, putting 7 million Americans renters at risk of being forced from their homes. The expiration was a blow to President Joe Biden, who on Thursday made a last-ditch request to the Congress to extend the moratorium, citing the raging Delta variant. On Friday, the U.S. House of Representatives adjourned without reviewing the tenant protections after a Republican congressman blocked a bid to extend it by unanimous consent until the 18th of October. Democratic leaders said they lacked sufficient support to put the proposal to a formal vote. The moratorium's expiration could put millions of Americans at risk of being forced out of their rented homes and apartments. Landlord groups have opposed the moratorium, which the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention implemented to combat the spread of COVID-19 and prevent homelessness during the pandemic. More than 15 million people in 6.5 million U.S. households are currently behind on rental payments, collectively owing more than $20 billion to landlords. And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of Newsnight. But for all the latest, do stay tuned to DD India and always keep yourself safe. And that is, of course, a surefire way is to mask up and at the same time observe all social distancing norms. And when your turn comes, you get yourself vaccinated. Thanks for watching.